I'm David Esrati. It's Friday, and today we're going to talk about a little thing that happened January 6, 2021, called the Insurrection, or I don't know, the time that we tried to break out another civil war in this country. I'm running for Congress in Ohio 10. That covers all of Montgomery County, Greene County, parts of Clark County in Ohio. The current congressman is Mike Turner, who's been in office for way too long. And we did agree on one thing at one time because Mike Turner said he didn't think Donald Trump should ever be president and didn't have any qualifications for that. So we've had these investigations going on, the House investigations, and they've been pretty revealing. Now, this is all made for prime time. They're very orchestrated, well thought out and structured, but the revelations each day just keep building and building a case against not only Trump, but a lot of the people below Trump and a lot of the people who are still running around thinking, oh, somehow there was election fraud. Let's get this out of the way. There was no election fraud. There was no miscounting of ballots. There were no voting machines screwing up, not to the amount that it would take to set the presidential election around. Now, let's also say Mike Pence knew this, and they tried to kill him. Last I checked, when you try to kill the president, you go to prison for a long time. Ever heard of a guy named John Hinckley? Hell, his concert tour, after 40 years in prison, his concert tour has been shut down. He can't even perform music, Kumbaya on a guitar, because he tried to kill President Reagan. So we've got all these people who are still running around saying Trump won, the elections are rigged, and everything has come down to Democrats versus Republicans. And wouldn't you just know it, the two issues that probably divide this country more than anything have been thrust to the forefront. First, with the first leak I can recall of a Supreme Court decision to overturn possibly Roe v. Wade, which is the first time in American history that a constitutional right is going to be taken away. And then the other part has been this uptick in homicidal domestic terrorists going off with high-capacity weapons of war, shooting people indiscriminately, including children in schools. Now, the question is, what kind of America do you want to live in for the next 2 years, the next 4 years? And that's what you really have to decide about on November 8th when you get a choice between Mike Turner and me, David Esrati. I can guarantee you this. There is no way in hell I am going to stand idly by while President Trump's 3 Supreme Court impositions, because there should have only been 2, and if we were playing by the same rules that they said they needed to use against President Obama, we'd only have 1 that would have been a pick. But let's be clear. The Supreme Court's a mess because senators, congressmen didn't do their jobs, and Mike Turner didn't do his job. I'm going to tell you who did do his job from Ohio. A football player. Representative Anthony Gonzalez. A Republican. A Cincinnati Bengal. I'm sorry. I'm from Cleveland. I grew up there. I still believe in the Browns. But I've got more respect for Anthony Gonzalez than I have for any other congressman, and except maybe Liz Cheney, who really went out on a limb. And they've suffered the consequences. Now, the reason that Gonzalez chose not to resign is because, or not to run again, is because his family was threatened. What kind of America do you want to live in where people who vote to protect the Constitution have their families threatened? Mike Turner doesn't think Trump did anything wrong. He, in fact, twice he had the opportunity to impeach him, didn't do it. Mike Turner did happen to vote to accept the election results. A lot of them didn't. But that doesn't make it any better. If we have people who don't believe that we have open, fair elections, why do we do them anyways? That's number one. Number two, we know they're rigged. I talked about the cost of elections in an email that I sent out to my supporters today. Last election, we spent to elect federal office holders something like $15 billion. With 330 million Americans, that works out to like $45 each that was spent to elect people to office. Does that sound insane to you? Why would you spend hundreds of millions of dollars to run for a job that pays $400,000 a year? Somewhere along the line, we've got to reel all this in. But let's get back to who knew what and what they did and anything else. I'm still looking forward to seeing somebody pipe in, say hello, ask some questions. But realistically, Trump incited a riot. He told them to march on the White House. He told them that Mike Pence was the target. And yet, he's scot-free. If I told somebody to go kill the president, the Secret Service would be at my door tomorrow. Or kill the vice president, excuse me. We have to think about the confidence in our system. We have to think about what we saw was just the brimming to the top of a country that's becoming more and more divided as we allow factions to develop based on who has more money behind them. If you think about it, if this continues to go down the path it's going, we're going to be at another civil war. Or we're going to have the country split into separate countries. And we will no longer be the United States. And why? Why not? It comes down to Trump, his followers, and the people who still want to go around talking about this as if it's facts. Who are still, remember when they yelled, lock her up, over a laptop and an email server? What happened to lock them up for saying, we're going to lie about an election and stay in office because we think we won? What happened? When did it be okay to tell people to go march on the Capitol? And when did it become okay for Americans to beat and batter the Capitol Police? You stood by and watched. Why isn't every one of those persons in prison? Why is nobody in Congress being held accountable? So, these vicious partisan attacks on democratic institutions by both politicians and citizens, claiming that we don't have a democracy anymore, that we have something less than what we had before January 6th, or before Trump even appeared on the scene. This lack of decorum, this vile hatred, something has to change. We have to, as a nation, come together and stop letting these partisan politics divide us. The interesting thing about my email list that I send out to, I send emails out to my Republican friends, my Democratic friends, and they don't unsubscribe. They go and look at my content. They still break bread with me. We have civil discussions. We try to discuss options and ways to bring us together instead of to pull us apart. So, there are some senators that voted against Trump. There were 7 of them. There were 10 people, Republicans in the House. And of all 7, only Murkowski of Alaska is facing re-election this time. And who's she running against? Sarah Palin? I mean, I thought we'd pretty much given up on her after her last outing. Some of these people, like Mitt Romney, I gained some respect for the first time. But he's still not sure that what happened on January 6th was wrong. And I don't understand that. In fact, I don't know how anybody who was cowering in the basement of the Capitol and being whisked away and wearing gas masks and basically running for their lives. The fact that Pence said, I will not leave this building, I don't want to be seen abandoning the building, shows the man has courage and at least an idea of what was going on and the depths of depravity that had happened, this had all come up to. So, I am wondering when people are going to say they've had enough of a divided United States. When they've had enough of the idea that it's a good idea to have lots of semi-automatic weapons in the hands of people that are made for killing people. Because when they turn them on other Americans, that's not what the Founding Fathers were talking about. People say, oh, it was to protect us from the government. The government is for the people, by the people. Why should the people need protection from the government? Only when we've been manipulated and whipped into a frenzy do we start to have a problem. Oh, we got Mr. I-70 who said it was a plot from Nancy Pelosi. It was a setup. Again, we've got people that can't figure out what reality is. I'm sure Nancy Pelosi didn't want Mike Pence dead, or have Capitol Police officers dead, or have other people getting hurt, because that's not the kind of person she is. Mr. I-70, you've been harping on things and saying Turner's going to kick my butt. Well, I'm glad you're here, because my view counts are important to me. Anyway, now he's really going on. He thinks it was Antifa people dressed as Trump supporters. That's been debunked. We have people who've lost touch with reality. I'm here to put us back in touch with reality. I'm here to say that if you want to be a part of a well-regulated militia, we'll let you do that. You can put your weapons in an armory, and you can train, and you can be out in buddy pairs when you have your weapons, in uniform, under military supervision. Other than that, we don't need to live in the Wild West. We don't need a repeat of what we had on January 6th. We don't need people storming in with guns to the Michigan Assembly. But you know what? If we're going to continue on with saying everybody has a right to have these weapons, I say it's time to impose the 14th Amendment and make sure that nobody has unequal protection, like our federal judges, our congressmen, disband the Secret Service. Why should the president be protected at more than the rest of us if everybody can have a gun and shoot anybody they want? Because that's what has happened. Tell me anybody who thinks that what happened in Texas or what happened in Buffalo is acceptable. Mike Turner will say, oh, but it's a right to have a gun. No, it's not. Anyway, so I am seeing lots of comments by I-70. I'm sure there's somebody else out there that has some intelligent comments. He says Pelosi was in charge. No, it was Mike Pence who actually asked for the National Guard to come in. So, going on, let's see what's coming up for us. The election is November 8th. I come here every day to talk to the constituents, to answer your questions, to interact with people, something Mike Turner never does. I'll do this once I get to Congress. Every day I'll fill you in on what happened live. We'll have a discussion. You will have access to your representative like you've never had before. In the meantime, I need you to go to electesrati.com/donate. Put a few bucks in because it's a long way to the $1 million that it takes to run for Congress, and I need support. And if you want to go give money to Mike Turner, it's $500 minimum. Mine is $3. So buy a politician a common person can afford. Anyways, I see Chuck P has entered into here. It says laws need deleted off the books. Criminals don't follow the laws. Yeah, we do need laws. That's what gives us civilization, fellas. So, glad to have been here today. We'll see you Monday right at 4, and we will talk about something interesting then. Have a great weekend. If you want a yard sign and you live on a major street, go to electisrally.com/act, A-C-T, and let me know. And we're going to be having some events coming up pretty soon to have some fundraisers. I'm happy to come out and speak to your BNI group, your Lions Club, your DAV post. It doesn't matter. You got a group of people and you want to hear and talk to your future congressman, just go to the site and let me know. Thank you so much. We will see you on Monday. I'm David Esrati. Thank you.